All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Angela Black. The show is called At This Moment, and that's because we're here at this moment. And it's Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. This show is here every Thursday night, 10 p.m. till midnight in Eastern Daylight Time. And I'd like to welcome back for the next half hour anyway, pharmacist Ben Fuchs to the show. Welcome back, Ben. I think he's muted. It's technical mute syndrome. There's a pill for that.
How'd you know I was muted again, man? You're psychic.
It's like RLS, only different.
All right.
I'll never forget that.
Remember. I swore I'd remember this time.
You know, it's funny. Speaking of technical mute syndrome, aka TMS, basically, I remember RLS and when that came out, and I remember restless leg syndrome.
Oh yeah.
And if you took the pill, you were supposed to let your doctor know if you were gambling too much.
Are you serious? Oh, that's funny.
I remember when my son was trying to tell me that he had restless leg syndrome and that there was a pill for that. He found it on TV. I said, maybe you just need to get out and run around. You know?
That's funny.
It was hilarious. So anyway, you have joined the chat, and I'm so happy. A lot of the questions had been posted prior to this. So some things that people wanted to talk about. Well, first of all, your show is weekdays, and it is on. They can find you at brightsideben.com, right. And it broadcasts from what? Let's see. It's 9 a.m. Mountain.
9 to 10 Mountain Time, and there's tons of archives.
Okay, great. Yeah, so everybody, you can find them at pharmacistben.com. Let's see, also brightsideben.com, and there was one other one I saw as well.
CriticalHealthNews.com.
Of course. How could I forget CriticalHealthNews.com? That was the first place I found you by our good friend Ralph Ely.
Okay, all right. Good.
Yeah, definitely. So, and you are the poster boy over there.
I'm the poster man. I'm
the poster man.
Poster in chief. I'm the poster in chief. Yes.
All right. So, a question from a chatter on my Skype was asking about your thoughts on chemo.
Chemotherapy? Well,
yes. And
chemotherapy, cancer is very interesting because one thing we don't realize this about cancer, but cancer is us. I like to watch these. I got this twisted kind of sense of I like twisted psychology, and I like to see what makes human beings tick. And they have these shows on television that are like criminal shows, like real life criminal shows, jails and stuff. And when my dad was a police officer when I was a kid, and he used to take us to the police station, I saw jails up close. I saw prisons up close. And it always struck me how the people in prison were people. They're human beings. And we shove them in prison because they violate our cultural norms somehow. But a lot of people are in prison because we just don't want to know they exist. We don't want to know we have murderers. We don't want to know we have child molesters. We don't know that we don't want to see these people. We don't want to think about these people. But those people are us. They're part of the family of God. They're part of the cell. They're all cells in the body of Christ, as they say. They're all connected to us. And likewise with cancer. Cancer is us. A lung cancer cell is your cell. It's my cell. And when you have lung cancer, that's not a foreign invader that came into your lungs. That's your lung cell. And when you take chemotherapy, what you're doing is you're killing your cell. You're committing suicide. You're killing yourself. Now, is there times when it's so messed up, your body's so broken down, and these things have invaded to such a significant extent that you have to kill them, or that killing them can get rid of them and eradicate them? Well, it may be that that's the case. I can't say that. But what I can say is cancer does not live in a vacuum. It lives in an environment that is conducive to cancer. And even if you kill the cancer cells and you don't change the environment, guess what's going to happen? The stuff is coming back. And that's why they don't measure cancer success by curing it. They measure it by 5-year survival. You follow what I'm saying? Because they know good and well that they may be able to kill it temporarily, but if the environment is conducive to the formation of cancer, which, by the way, at the end of the day, is a cell that is so freaked out, it has resorted back to its ancient way of being in order to survive. It is acting more like a bacteria cell than like an animal cell, is basically what it is. It has become a fermenter cell, and it only does this when it is so starved and so suffocated and so toxic that it doesn't know what else to do. A cancer cell is a massively stressed out cell. It's a coping mechanism, much the same way as criminal and deviant behavior is a coping mechanism for a psyche. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. child molesters, I don't approve of child molesters or murderers or anybody who commits these kinds of heinous acts, but those are coping mechanisms. They're ways that the child and then the teenager and then the adult has learned to cope, has learned to survive, has learned to get by. And so when we kill cancer, what we're doing is killing our poor little cell that is just trying to get by. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. And again, there may be times when you need chemotherapy. But in the way I look at it is you want to be changing the environment and you want to be doing it preventatively rather than waiting until the damage has occurred.
Exactly. And then if you are there, I know people basically alkalizing the body is the way to go. Chemo it doesn't really have a success rate. It may have a short-term success rate, but the amount of damage that is caused, by chemo and or radiation therapy, et cetera, to the body it's just so extensive. It's unbelievable. So I do recommend people really looking into their own research and how to alkalize the body. How do you feel about that?
Well, what's the way God intended our body to be alkaline?
Gosh, that's a great question.
That's a great question, right? And what is acid? What is the problem with acid? Do you ever wonder about that?
Yes, I do wonder.
All right, so let's talk about that, okay? Acid represents movement. When something is acidic, it's very dynamic. From a molecular standpoint, it's moving around a lot. Alkaline is like a vacuum cleaner. It sucks things up. It's like a negative state. When something is alkaline, it's an energy sucker. When something is acid, it's an energy spewer. It's about spewing and sucking. I guess that probably didn't come out the way I wanted it to come out. But you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Energy that's being pushed out is acidic. Energy that's being sucked up is alkaline. So why do you suppose you'd want the body to be alkaline? Well, you want it sucking up energy. You don't want it spewing out energy. You want it sucking it up. So an alkaline body is a body that is sucking up electrical energy like a vacuum cleaner. An acid body is a body that's spewing out acid like a chimney. Now, acid is a byproduct of toxicity. When something is toxic, it tends to produce lots of high energy compounds, and these are acidic. So acidity is meant to be blown off. It's meant to be cleaned out. Luckily, we have mechanisms for blowing off acid and for cleaning out acid. They're called our kidneys and our lungs. And luckily, alkaline, which is supposed to be coming into the body, is likewise mechanisms for making sure the body stays alkaline. The most alkaline substance there is called oxygen. The way you alkalinize, according to based on nature and based on what the body wants to do, is by breathing. Mm-hmm. And that means both directions, because when you exhale, you blow out acid. And when you inhale, you blow in oxygen. You don't need fancy schmancy pills, and you don't need a pH miracle diet, and you don't need any external device to make your body alkaline. You need to be practicing deep breathing techniques to make sure you're blowing off acid and sucking in oxygen or inhaling in oxygen. And you have to make sure that your body is not accumulating toxins, of which sugar is the main one that we interface with. So by deep breathing techniques, dietary strategies like eliminating toxins and sugar, and focusing on digestive health so that you can process your foods correctly, you'll get all the alkaline you need without any alkaline water and without worrying about any alkaline formulas. Now, as it turns out, you can't really adjust the alkaline acid level anyway with your digestive system and with formulations. Although minerals tend to be alkaline, and if you eat more minerals, you'll probably get a little bit of boost on it. And if you do drink some sodium bicarbonate, you might get a little more alkaline. But for the most part, it's gaseous, not solid.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes, and that's another reason. That's another way we become disempowered by not understanding our bodies. Earlier, before we talked about the skin, and by not understanding the skin, we think we can rub something on the surface, the stratum corneum, and get results underneath. Well, likewise with the body. By not understanding that the body's meant to alkalinize itself through oxygen, we go off and we try to do all these foods and supplements and formulas, when all we got to do is sit on the couch and practice our deep breathing. Nothing will tell the body it's safe more quickly than oxygen. In fact, if you ever want to, do you ever have panic attacks, or do you know anybody who has panic attacks?
I used to have panic attacks, and a lot of times I even do it on the air. I take everyone through a deep breath very often.
Perfect. I was going to say, if anybody has a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband or a wife or a child or a parent who gets panic attacks, right? And you want to experience a panic attack so you can relate to, because they're horrible, as you know, they're absolutely miserable. So if you want to relate to your parent or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, whoever has a panic attack, and you want to have one too, just to bond with them maybe. Here's how you have a panic attack, okay? And you can have one right here on the air if you like. If you want to have a nice
no, I'm
panic
good.
attack.
I'm going to pass.
No, because you can get out of it real quickly.
Okay.
If you wanted to just get a quick panic attack, this is what you do. You hold your breath, and then when it comes time to breathe again and you want to take a breath, you keep holding it. And then when it comes really time to breathe and your body says, you better breathe or we're going to really be pissed off here, you keep holding it. And if you keep holding it long enough, guess what you're going to have? A panic attack. Because it's the most a serious threat to our survival from a historical evolutionary standpoint.
Right.
Is lack of oxygen, and nothing will put you in a panic attack faster. But here's the thing. We have subclinical panic attacks. We have under-the-radar panic attacks that we have become inured to, that we have become used to and tolerant of. So we don't know we're having them. But the body knows it's having it, and it is initiating all of the chemistry of panic, even though we have filtered it out from a conscious level. You follow what I'm saying?
I do.
So our chemistry is still, our immune system is still shutting down, our digestive system is still being suppressed, our level of creativity is dropping, our blood is being shunted to the reptilian brain in the back of the brain, away from the prefrontal cortex, our fertility is dropping, we're feeling crappy, all because we're not oxygenating, all because we're not blowing enough carbon dioxide, all because of poor respiratory techniques. Something as simple as deep breathing techniques can lower your blood pressure instantly with no toxicity, with no drugs, with no doctor's office, with no diagnostics, with no Obamacare, and most importantly, with no side effects. Not only no side effects, but beneficial effects, including improved immunity and longevity.
It's very interesting because, and my husband's become a lot calmer lately and doesn't have these panic attacks, but he's an attorney and had gone through this a lot. And when I would tell him to breathe, it was so funny because he was always holding his breath. And when I would tell him to breathe, he would be exhaling first. And I'm like, wow,
that's where the relaxation response comes in, is on the exhale, not on the inhale.
Yeah,
the
but
exhale,
he just kept inhaling all the time.
Well, the inhale is what activates the stress nervous system, and the exhale is what activates the relaxation nervous system. So if you ever want to relax quickly, sigh.
Yeah.
If you just want to do it quickly, you get a quick relaxation by sighing. Just by going, that you can almost feel how relaxed you get, right? One of the classic signs of an excessive activation of the survival nervous system is constipation. Constipation is an epidemic too. I mean, everybody's constipated, right? Constipation is a sign of a body in major distress. And when you go on, and excuse me for being graphic here, but I think this is very important. When you try to have a bowel movement and you sit on the john and you inhale, you do exactly the opposite of what's required to evacuate your bowels. And that's what most people do. They go, right? That's called the Valsalva maneuver. And what that does, and weightlifters do it too, that's a bodybuilding term or weightlifting term. When you're bench pressing, do you ever do bench pressing or weightlifting?
I personally do not, but I understand with what you're talking about.
You go like this, that's the last thing you want to do. That makes you weaker. And when you're on the john, that will constrict your bowels even more. So if you're constipated, this is the cure for constipation. As long as it's not severe, what you want to do is you want to breathe out like this. Everything opens up and everything relaxes. And by the way, you want to do this before eating, and you want to do it before sex as well, because you'll have better sex and you'll have better digestion. And you want to do it before doing anything creative like writing, because you'll have more creativity.
Yeah, that's amazing and simple and essential.
Simple.
Yes.
Breathing out, exhaling. Sighing.
Wow, that's amazing.
What do you say when you put your leg in a hot bath? What do you say? You go, ah. Anything that makes you go,
in harmony,
ah. ah. Yeah, that's right. Anything that makes you go, ah, that's what you're going to go for. Go for the ah.
Things that make you go, ah.
Things that make you go, ah. You know, they do studies on cats and dogs, and they find that people who have a cat or dog live longer, or they find that cats and dogs will, they give them to people with PTSD or post-traumatic stress syndrome, and they find that it relaxes them. Why? Because when you're petting a cat, the cat or the dog is going, ah. Cats will even do it loud. You know, dogs will do it anyway. Dogs will do it silently, but cats will do it with noise. That's what purring is. Purring is a cat going, ah.
Yeah. And also, purring is a warming mechanism for animals, for the cat as well. So it's all about, you know, it is all about the oxygen and carbon dioxide leaving the body, the oxygen in and carbon dioxide leaving. So,
that's right.
I don't think I really conceptualized that a lot of that acidic environment happens to be gaseous and not so much all solids.
No, it's
very
gaseous.
Interesting.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Well, I'm learning, which I knew I would, and I'm so thrilled. I encourage you silently to check the Skype box message that I sent to you because it's very good news. And then and I'm hoping to lure you for the entire time. So I have another question. All right, that was sent to me from a friend, and this person has been on. And now you and I spoke about this for a quick second in our prep talk, which was the overprescription and extended prescriptions for antibiotics, and how horrible that is for the body, et cetera. And I know a person who's been on the same antibiotic, and a very heavy one at that. Not that any of them are less heavy, I suppose, but for 9 months. And I'm just thinking,
Pharmacy 101. Okay, Pharmacy 101. Never stay on an antibiotic for more than 14 to 30 to 28 days. First thing they teach you in pharmacy school, that's a recipe for what's called bacterial resistance, because bacteria mutate and they become resistant. But I'll be honest with you. When I graduated pharmacy school, I was stunned at the pharmacological ignorance of the average prescribing physician. I was blown away. They didn't understand pharmacology. They didn't understand drugs. Now, it may have changed. I don't know, because I haven't really, done the pharmacy thing for many years. But when I graduated pharmacy school, I was blown away by how little they understood about drugs, and how little they understood about the very fundamental 101 stuff, not just the fancy mechanisms of action, but the basics, such as not staying on an antibiotic for more than 14 to 30 days. There are people who are on antibiotics not just for 9 months, for years, the same antibiotics, especially for acne. And this is a recipe for disaster, and it's a huge one of the major causes of one of the biggest problems in all of medicine today, and that's antibiotic resistance. So, and by the way, I had pharmacy school professors who saw it coming back in the 1980s. I graduated pharmacy school in 1986, and we had professors who were warning us about this. And they said, you're going to see this in the turn of the century, which seemed like forever in 1986, but now it's here. And we do have a big problem with it. But here's the thing, Angela. Most antibiotics are not the kind you know about. Most antibiotics are given to cattle and to pigs and to chicken and even to fish. And it's antibiotics that are supposed to kill the bacteria and prevent the infections that are being caused by the factory farming techniques that are being perpetuated and foisted on the poor animals, as well as on our system, our food system. These factory farms where chickens are walking around in their own feces, you know what I'm saying? Like up to their ankles, up to their little chicken ankles, and pigs are wallowing in their own fecal material, trapped in little pens. Obviously these animals are going to get sick, and obviously these animals are going to get infections. So instead of maybe giving them better pens or cleaner areas to work with, what do? We give them antibiotics. And then on top of that, this is a real fascinating thing. It was accidentally discovered that animals grow bigger and fatter when they're on antibiotics. Mm-hmm. And so when farmers discovered that, oh my God, they started piling on the antibiotics. So and they don't have to announce it, so nobody knows. You don't know how much antibiotics are in your chicken or in your milk or in your fish or in your food. Nobody has to tell you any of that stuff. So when you think you got it under control, you're not going to take antibiotics, you're going to fight your cold without antibiotics. Now you got to worry about all the antibiotics in the food, and that doesn't include, by the way, the antibiotics in the water.
Thank you.
Because the animals, right? The animals are dump their stuff out in the water, and so do the human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, there's not just antibiotics in the water. There's antihypertensives in the water. There's beta blockers in the water. There's birth control pills in the water. There's chemotherapy in the water. There is a witch's brew of all kinds of poisons in the very tap water we're drinking, and this is because of our reliance and our dependence on the pharmaco-medical chemical model of health and wellness and food and drink.
Wow. All right. So I wanted to touch upon probiotics for a quick second because I was thinking if you're on, extensive antibiotic regimen, if you will, which is a horrible word for it, but then your digestive system is obviously affected in an incredibly negative way because antibiotic kills all of those kills all of the bacteria in your gut, etc.
Right.
So I mean, it can't possibly help the body to get healthy, being on extended amounts of antibiotics. So that's horrible. In one, it is in the food, it is in the water, etc. So what do we do, Ben?
What do we do? Well, we take proactive measures. Number one, that's the most important thing to do is take proactive measures. Okay. First of all, eat less food. That's the first thing you could do. Eat as little as you need. Get your jolly somewhere else. We need to find another way to blow off steam.
And that is not by intaking a bunch of alcohol either. Just want to point that out.
Whatever, I don't judge anybody for what they do, but the point is that you want to find coping techniques. We want to all find coping techniques that serve us. The second thing you want to do is make sure that you're being proactive with your nutrition. Get on a nutritional supplement program. Make sure you're using fiber, which is very important for gut bacteria, fermented vegetables, microbial-rich foods, kefir and fermented beets and miso and tempeh and kimchi, whatever it is that you like, kombucha, whatever it is that you like. Make sure you're loving your digestive system. Make sure you're on a nutritional supplement program. Make sure you're eating as little food as you need to and only eating food that you know is created with love by somebody who cares about you or at least cares something about you. A little bit about you. Ideally, you should only be eating food your mother or your wife made for you, but you ever see how grumpy they are at Taco Bell and those places? You probably don't know. But I used to go into those places. I would see how grumpy people were, slopping the bean crap all over your burrito. And if people don't love you when they're feeding you, you don't want to be eating that food.
That's so opinion. Correct. Oh,
right?
my gosh. I live by
loving
that.
You. Mm-hmm. Loving you. When you go to a restaurant, if you go to the same restaurant, make sure they love you there.
Yep.
If you like to go to a restaurant, find one you like, go get to know the chef, give them a big tip, say hi every morning, smile. You want the person preparing your food loving you.
Absolutely.
And make sure you tip them good if they're waiting, making you a juice or serving you at a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And eating less food and getting on a nutritional supplement program and deep breathing and loving yourself and loving God and loving nature and incorporating joy and joie de vivre and all of the things that we love about being alive. Incorporate those things into your life intentionally, with volition, with consciously, and with volition.
Wow. That's just words for the wise and words from the wise. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I got a few more minutes here. So let's. You want to take a couple more calls or questions?
Yeah. Or let's see. A lot of people in the chat room have been talking about coconut oil, and I'm wondering.
Coconut oil is wonderful stuff. Make sure it's organic. Make sure it's unrefined. Expeller pressed. Coconut oil is phenomenal.
Is that now? Are you just talking about ingesting it, or are you also talking about it as a topical?
Topical for skin cleansing. The best topicals. Most skin cleansers are made with synthetic versions of coconut extract, mm-hmm. sodium lauryl sulfate, and detergents. Lots of it comes from coconut because coconut has its own detergent properties. So it makes a great topical cleanser. It makes a great transdermal penetrant. If you use it underneath something you want to penetrate into the skin, it helps enhance penetration. You can use it as a mouthwash. I personally do this thing called oil pulling, mm-hmm. where I do 10 or 15 minutes of coconut in the morning, 10 or 15 minutes of coconut oil in the evening. Swishing it around. It's awesome to cook with. You can put it on top of your potatoes or your eggs. It's awesomely tasting. Put it in your smoothie. What else do you want? Praise God for the coconut. It's an amazing thing.
Great. Well, since we just have a couple of minutes left, I thought we would go ahead and give everyone your information so that they can find out more from you daily and on your websites. So sure. Do you want to give us a spiel?
The program's called The Bright Side. If you Google Bright Side Ben or if you Google just Pharmacist Ben and The Bright Side or anything like that, you'll find all kinds of stuff. I got lots of YouTubes. If you Google Pharmacist Ben, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs maybe. You can Google the truth, truthtreatments.com. There's all kinds of ways. I'm all over the place. The internet, if you have something to say, the internet's your best friend. And I definitely have something I want to say.
That's great. And let's see. Critical Health News is another way to find you.
Critical Health News. I have a blog. I try to blog pretty regularly. In fact, every week I try to post a few things. And that's criticalhealthnews.com and also pharmacistben.com. Those are my two blogs.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at pharmacistben.com right now, and it's a wealth of information. I'm really impressed. Yeah. Any last thoughts about what else? What else on your brain for the next couple of minutes?
For my next couple of minutes, what else? Well, most importantly is I don't want people to marginalize the importance of the little things. Deep breathing, hot tubs, hot showers, massage, touch. Also the skin, we talked about how important the skin was. Well, the skin is a portal to there's two nervous systems I was talking about. It's called the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, your stress nervous system and your relaxation nervous system. The skin is an activating switch for the parasympathetic nervous system. By touching your skin lightly, massaging your skin, or getting massages, you have a route of activation for the parasympathetic relaxation nervous system. So taking advantage of all of these little things like touch and water and massage and hot tubs and breathing, and these are all powerful ways that we can access our built-in healing properties to keep us out of the medical model, to keep us off of drugs, to keep us in the healthy and well state that I believe the divine force designed us to be in. And these are all things that we can do on our own. Don't be confused or obfuscated by a model, the medical model, that wants us to be confused. In the old days, they used to have priests that were our connection to God and our connection to the divine force and our connection to health and wellness. Today, we have doctors. Doctors are the priests, are our 21st century priests, and they have deified themselves, and we are complicit in that, and we're always surprised when a doctor does something silly. Do you know why that is, Angela? Because deep down, we believe they shouldn't do anything silly. We're always surprised when a doctor does something that's so counterintuitive, even the average dummy wouldn't think of doing it, something like poisoning the body in order to making it better. But why should we be surprised? The only reason we're shocked when doctors do these things is because we have been led to believe that they are infallible, the way we used to think the Pope was infallible and the way we used to think priests were infallible. The fact of the matter is while many doctors are beautiful people, I have a lot of friends who are physicians, and I tell everything I'm saying to you today, I say to them as well. But they're, as human beings, they're good people. They want to help people. But the model is flawed. The model is anti-humanity. The model does not serve the individual, and this is a message for the individual. And this is a country for the individual. And to me, if we don't honor and elevate the individual, we're not going to be able to honor and elevate the culture. And that's what it should really be all about at the end of the day, is exploiting and leveraging our built-in God-given healing powers so that we can be risen up, so that we can at least come close to what I believe is our destiny, to be holy, sacred beings and have a holy, sacred planet and have a holy, sacred culture that we can all live and thrive in. That's my spiel for today.
Wow, that's wonderful. Okay, so
right.
They can find you on Brightside Ben every weekday at, let's see, that would translate
9 to 10 Pacific. 9 to 10 Mountain, 8 to 9 Pacific.
And they are allowed to call in. There's a call-in number.
Yes.
Great. Well, I'll be frequenting your show, and thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Good to talk to you. We'll talk again soon.
All right, take care. Pharmacist
Bye-bye.
Ben Fuchs,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you. All right, terrific. I was hoping he could stay the full 2 hours, but some people get very busy, and he works a long day, et cetera. So I appreciate very much that Ben was able to join me tonight. What an amazing ride, and obviously there's eons and eons of time that we could spend talking about things. I was hoping we could get to vaccines tonight, but that's obviously time did not permit. So what I'm going to do is say hello to the chat room real quick. Let me join you guys over in the chat room, and I hope that everyone enjoyed that that hour and a half with pharmacist Ben Fuchs. What an amazing guy! And here's a person that left the dark side and turned his ways and became an advocate for health, and is basically telling people, you make sure you get some pure water if at all possible, and eat less, breathe a lot, take a hot tub for goodness sakes, all kinds of awesomeness. So I'm not going to argue with any of that. And I was, when he was talking about the car ride and how, he was focusing on his stomach to see if he was actually hungry instead of, looking at I suppose driving down the freeway, seeing said McDonald's, said Jack in the Box, said Burger King, whatever. Instead he would focus to see if his stomach was actually hungry. And I thought that was just brilliant and so simple. I mean, come on, it's so simple. It's ridiculous. I was going to say, one of the things that I would do on a long drive though is I prepare my own food to go, including say, cut up cauliflower, that type of thing. I do that. I'm a raw cauliflower junkie these days. And, I don't know. I do put a little ranch on it. I make my own ranch and but I'm not afraid of fat. I'm not afraid. I was listening to one of Ben's, he has health nuggets on criticalhealthnews.com. And, there's these like 1 minute, 1.5 minute little, bits of wisdom, from Ben. And I was talking about eating broccoli, eating cauliflower, eating cruciferous vegetables. And I was like, wow, cool, I'm already on that bandwagon. So when I prepare food for a long trip, it's always very healthy food. And again, people, don't be afraid of too much fat. And also, in my opinion, don't be afraid of some cholesterol. Our brains are made of cholesterol. So, I might be taking calls. If anyone is looking to reach me, you can find me at This Blue Monkey on Skype. And you know what I'm going to do right now? Everything that Ben just told me, I'm going to go ahead and take us all through a deep breath. Are you guys ready? Okay, ready. We're going to go in and out. Here we go. And out. Let's do it one more time. That was pretty good. Also, you guys got to learn not to breathe through the shoulders, but through your diaphragm. Super important. And, wow. All right. I am taking calls, like I said, but I was going to cover a couple of topics from naturalnews.com. And let me say hi to you guys in the chat. I listened to Mr. Rowe on his show earlier, by the way, and he went through the chat list so like rhythmically and quickly. I was very impressed. And in the middle of it, he even gave me some cred, some street cred, some props, and breathed and gave me thanks for that. So hey, Mr. Rowe, back at you. I was touched. My heart went pitter pat, and so that breath was for you, and of course everyone here listening at Revolution Radio. You know what's funny is our chat room is only just a minute portion of the actual listenership that we have. It is amazing. I don't know if you guys know, but this is a very popular network, and I'm just so thrilled to be a part of Revolution Radio, where free speech exists and I exist. So, all right. There we go. And my husband's in the chat room, which is very funny. And yes, indeed, you definitely came up with the breathing thing, but I did give you some credit, Bill, for becoming a better breather as we progress through our lives. So let me say hi to everyone in the chat room. It's Nighthawk, Briarios, Hal, and Hammerhead. We have Lady Horse, Surrey Sunflower, and VO Bear, Comets, Jer Bear, Patrick Anglish, myself, This Blue Monkey. Tracy is in the house. Tracy Kennedy, Turtle Island. We have Vasto. Vasto's in the house. Vasto and I go way back. Arlo, Bernard, Causation, Sherilyn Monroe. What a great name, by the way. Easy P, Freelance, Geriatric Punk, which I think, who is that? I want to meet that person. Geriatric Punk. I have ideas of who that might be if they're incognito. Hemp, Hippie Chick, Hot Wine, Curon, Lioness, Love, Lozo One, Lucid, Mitchell, and ready, Mr. Rowe. That was not a very deep breath. I should do it again. Well, I know. Is it good radio, though? That's the question. All right, one more time. There you go. MT Jane, Olive 2M, P Ben, a.k.a. Pharmacist Ben, was in the house tonight. And let's see, Potato 8, Rapsy, Rev Radio, Sam Squatch. Hey, Sam Squatch, I haven't seen you in a few days, but that's probably because I haven't been around as much. Sepsin, Simply Red, 777, Thunderbird, Turner, Valerie, the WB, my husband himself, a bunch of Zippies, a Zipster, and labvirus.com, and why not? So hello to everyone. Glad you're here. Let's see. I was going to get into some health issue topic. How about fasting? I'm not very good at it. I don't know about you guys, but fasting is, I don't know. What is it? How long do you have to do it? Et cetera, et cetera. And, I think the best thing to do is ease in. I think, go a half day and then add an hour. It's kind of like sit-ups. If you're first starting, you do 10 sit-ups and then in your next sitting, you do 11, et cetera, et cetera. I'm thinking that would be a good way, instead of shocking your body for the very first time, to go into a fast mode. It could put it into a shock mode. So I would say ease in and add a little bit more time each time you're going to fast. And I'm, of course, telling myself this at the same time, but I'm getting this one, by the way, from Natural News, came out today. Fasting let me try it again. Fasting shown to regenerate stem cells, reverse immunosuppression after 3 days. I don't know if I could fast for 3 days, but hey, let's think about it. And I'm assuming you can drink water, but what about like tea? Can you drink tea? I've been making my own homemade teas, as you guys know. So anyway, what if the key to maintaining a vibrant immune system was simply not eating for a few days at a time twice a year? Researchers at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles say that periodic, prolonged fasting, that is, not eating between 2 and 4 subsequent days at a time, not only protects against immune system damage, but it also promotes immune system regeneration, particularly in patients who are already immunocompromised. Are you immunocompromised? So, again, I don't know if I'm not recommending this. I'm reading this article and I'm telling you that I know fasting is good for the body. I'm thinking that you probably want to ease in. I don't think going for 4 days would be excellent for the first time. That's my assumption. But anyway, some extra stuff. And then over time, immune cells can become worn out and stop functioning at optimal levels. It was previously believed that there wasn't much that could be done to overcome this apart from stem cell treatments. However, this latest research shows that periodic fasting cycles actually flip some kind of regenerative switch inside the body, altering the signaling pathways for hematopoietic stem cells. Hematopoietic. Let's try that. Poietic. There you go. I love trying to pronounce things on air for the first time. Hematopoietic stem cells, which generate both blood and immunity. And it goes on to saying that periodic fasting may help correct autoimmune disorders, including those brought about by vaccines. Yes, indeed. While the study focused primarily on chemotherapy patients whose immune systems are ravaged by this deadly poison treatment, the implications of the study also extend to other conditions like autoimmune disorders. By triggering the production of new, undamaged immune cells, fasting might help people who suffer from what the system has long claimed are incurable medical conditions. As it turns out, prolonged fasting forces the body to use stores of glucose, fat, and ketones, as well as a significant portion of existing white blood cells. In essence, fasting acts as a type of detoxification, clearing out the old so it can be replaced with the new. The researchers say that the result is essentially the formation of a whole new immune system. Wow. So there's more to it. But I think I'm going to go on to another article here and just check the chat. Wow, I feel slightly abandoned that Ben left me, but I'm going to go ahead and live with it. Oh, yes. You guys are asking about homemade teas. Let me tell you a little bit about this. So what I've been doing, as you guys probably know, I stopped alcohol. And if you drink, that's your business, and I'm happy for you, whatever you want to do, But for me, my liver was telling me it was time to quit. And so, throughout the course of almost my year of sobriety, with a 2-month break in there of red wine, lots of red wine. But in general, I've been pretty much sober since last June, and entirely sober since January. And what I've been doing is making my own teas. And I've been going to the health food store, just a local mom and pop shop where they sell bulk herbs. And I've been picking up burdock. Let's see. So if you guys want to get a pencil or whatever, it's burdock. And I'll tell you about this in any off time as well. And dandelion and milk thistle. These are all really great for the liver detoxification. And then I'm doing that, and I'm adding things like yerba mate. Let's see, some ginkgo biloba, and peppermint. Got to have your peppermint. Love the mint in the tea. And then let's see, what else have I been adding? Sometimes I'll add a vanilla bean into the mix. And what I do, since the burdock and the milk thistle and the dandelion, the burdock is a root, the milk thistle is a seed, and the dandelion can come in root and also in leaf form. So you can't really just steep it for 5 minutes in some hot water and expect any results. So what I do is I take a big pot and I boil, a couple of gallons, if at the minimum, of water with these different roots and seeds and of course leaves for like 15 to 20 minutes, and then I leave it hot and I let it sit for quite a while. And in the next day, then I strain it. Sometimes I let it sit overnight, and I have to tell you, it's very satisfying. You can definitely feel it at work. And anyone who I've talked to that drinks these awesome teas that they make on their own tell me nothing but good things as well. So I go to the health food store and I'll sit there and hobnob with whomever's at the bulk herb counter, and it's so cheap. You guys, you can get organic everything. Hibiscus is another one I put in there. Hibiscus flower is amazing. The actual flower, dried, organic, of course. And ginger is another thing I put in the tea. So it's amazing. You can get so much of these herbs for relatively inexpensive prices. I think I paid like $1. No, I think I paid like 27 cents for a bunch of raspberry leaf, which was pretty interesting. A whole bag of raspberry leaf, like 27 cents. So, if you guys are bored and you're wondering what good thing you can do for your body today, I would highly recommend making your own tea. And that's pretty awesome. I'm looking at the chat. MT Jane is in the chat talking about cutting down on meat. And I agree. I like meat from time to time, but I also like to take time off from meat. So I've got that going on. Hey, Zippy's in the house. That's Harolyn. She's in there. We have a Sherilyn and a Harolyn in the chat room tonight, so that's pretty exciting. Let's see, what else? Some meat for protein. And you guys were also talking about coconut oil, which absolutely. I am now a coconut oil addict. Let's see, I'm getting some Skypes. Haha. You're late. You know who you are. You're late. All right. Anyway, coconut oil, super awesome. And eggs are amazing for the body, and eggs, let's say scrambled eggs in some coconut oil, or even non-scrambled eggs in coconut oil, they make it so fluffy and nice. And I'm just telling you, start incorporating coconut oil into your diets, because it's just like the wonder food of all time. And I thought for a while that I was allergic to coconuts, but I'm finding that I have absolutely no problem with coconut oil whatsoever. And, what was interesting that Dr. Ben was talking about was the algae. When I was a child, I got the allergy test, telling me I'm allergic to tobacco, which is why I've never been a smoker, by the way. And that's the only reason, that and asthma. I'm telling you, people who know me, if I was not allergic to tobacco, then I would be a chain smoker for sure. So, but I've never smoked a cigarette in my entire life. Basically, I had found out as a child that I was allergic to many things, and I got tested on my arm. And one of the things that I was told I'm allergic to is algae. So I've always kind of wondered about that. And if I had had a little more time with Pharmacist Ben tonight, I probably would have asked him about, that, because I've always been a little gun shy on consuming algae, just because as a child I was told that I was allergic to algae. And I'm not sure if it's a particular kind of algae, but I remember when everyone was doing the multi-level marketing of algae. And I was like, I got to stay away from that. I did not want to accidentally find out that I was dead. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm saying there. Okay, let me get into, if you guys don't know, I'm also on air on Wednesdays and Fridays at 1 p.m. Pacific, aka 4 p.m. Eastern on Studio A. I'm part of the Liberation Nation team here at Revolution Radio, and I have a co-host, and his name is The Crow. He joins me at the half-hour break, and we do an hour every Wednesday and Friday, and often I just do news articles. So I, if you can tell, I really, really don't have a problem talking to myself. So it's very funny. Let's see what else. In the zinc lozenges that Pharmacist Ben was also referring to regarding helping with colds. That is the Singer's wonderful tool as well. The gritty zinc lozenges that you can find at the store. Those are amazing. That, and of course, heavy liquid vitamin C if you can get the liquid. One thing that you do want to check with your supplements, obviously, is the source that they're coming from. For instance, calcium carbonate as your calcium supplement will not really do the job. It's pretty much chalk. You want to go with like oyster shell calcium if you can, and maybe there are some other options as well. But please do your own research and find the best options for what you're ingesting. And I do find that liquid intake of supplements is often very effective. And you're not processing too much waste from the intake of those vitamins, depending on the quality of them. And I actually take a great supplement that has glucosamine, chondroitin, and boswellia in it, which is frankincense, and it really helps with inflammation and lubrication of the joints. Super amazing. And then my good friend Ralph Ely, who hopefully is listening tonight, and also shout out to Ted Anderson if he's in the audience. I know that he's very close with Ralph and with Pharmacist Ben, so I was hoping to say hello to him if he's still out there in the wonderful land listening to the show tonight. And anyway, so turmeric, I like to say turmeric, but it is turmeric, and that's a great one as well. Get your vitamin D supplements going on. You want to get at least 10,000 IU, if you will, which is, I believe, individual units. I think that's the correct translation for IU. Do a lot of vitamin D. Make sure you're really getting what you need, and also, I don't know what overkill is on vitamin C. I don't think there is such a thing. So please do just find the right, level for your intake, and don't be afraid of fat. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of fat. It's essential. And again, the brain is made of cholesterol. So, the cholesterol myth, et cetera, is, it is what it is. I'm assuming that there is, the bad cholesterol, et cetera, but don't be afraid to intake fat. I think that whole bandwagon in the diet industry was just a way to sell, more sugar. And then when the sugar thing, changed into aspartame, that was something I was hoping to ask Pharmacist Ben about tonight, was aspartame and the poison that whole thing is. And do you guys do that? Do you guys, when you're trying to avoid sugar, and is stevia really a good answer? I've tried it and it tastes very chemical to me. I've tried the actual leaf and it is not chemical, but the stevia that you buy at the store, is it actually good for you? I'm going to look further into that, the stevia. And then one other thing I really wanted to talk about for a quick second before I see if I can touch upon another article, because I'm doing quite well babbling, don't you think? One thing I can do is definitely babble. All right. Anyway, it's phenylalanine. If you guys consume any type of diet product, you will always, I think it's at 99% of anything I've ever looked at that is a quote unquote diet product. In other words, something that contains, say, sucralose or aspartame or, something along those lines. Say you're consuming, say, a Diet Coke or something like that. Every diet product that you see will say phenylketonurics contains phenylalanine, and it's a warning. And it's very interesting to me because phenylalanine itself is an essential amino acid, and it is key. It's a neurotransmitter in the brain, and it's very important. It's a feel-good type of, I don't want to say it's directly related to dopamine, but it is definitely a natural occurring substance in the body that is a neurotransmitter. And unfortunately, with whatever we do to our bodies and fry whatever neurotransmitters we may fry whatever neurotransmitters you may fry, I tell you. Anyway, sorry. What happens is they give you this phenylalanine inside of all these diet products, and it's supposedly, it trips your brain up and makes your brain think that, oh, I feel good when I consume this. Oh, I like this. Oh, I want more of this. So buyer beware and consumer beware. Look into that phenylalanine situation. It's phenylketonurics. And I think it's a bad thing. And it's on every diet product that you can find. It's very interesting. So you guys are great in the chat room. I absolutely love you. And I guess we're getting some pretty good numbers, by the way. So that's super awesome, too. And again, if you guys want to reach out, that's funny. I'm getting some weird Skypes in the background with swear words, but not to me. I mean, not at me, but to me. about other stuff. So anyway, babble I shall. I've got 6 more minutes to do so. All right. I talked about this yesterday with the Crow, and it's an appropriately titled new moniker for that favorite lady you know that's running for president, Hillary Clinton, now known. Are you ready? The Bride of Frankenfood. I've been talking about the fact that there's a Monsanto lobbyist who is now running her campaign. And, Monsanto. So Hillary Clinton in bed with Monsanto. Hey, she's got to sleep with somebody, right? Oh, and my poor grandmother, God rest her soul, loved Hillary when Hillary still was, I don't know, some version of a human, at least before we all realized that she's now the dun 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 bride of Frankenfood. So anyway, oh, look at this. I'm going to add my new BFF to the call. Hello, Ralph Ely.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for introducing me to Ben Fuchs. And also, thanks to Ken Keeling for introducing me to Dane Wigington, who introduced me to you, who introduced me to Ben.
We've all been introduced now. It was so exciting to hear Ben on the air because he is so full of information. I'm surprised that he didn't go on for another half hour because, he could fill 4 hours. And the only reason he would stop would be just to take a breath.
Yeah, well, and he's broadcasting early in the morning, so he's had a full day, and it's late there.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm not going to hold it against him.
He just seems to have unboundless energy. He's totally amazing.
There's
one thing you guys didn't talk about that I thought about that's so important that I discovered, and it's something that Ben has talked about, Dr. Wallach has talked about, and that is that, when we were younger, we all used to have fireplaces and wood stove heaters in our houses.
Mm-hmm. I do.
And what did we? Yeah, and what did we do when we took the ashes out of those things? We put them out in the garden and we raked them over and we rototilled them in the garden. And springtime we had this most wonderful veggie patch and things that came up so nice and green. And that's because of all the nutriments and the things that were in those coals that we put out there. All that. It's like when a forest fire burns. Mm-hmm. After the fire burns and the next year when the trees and bushes and everything comes out, it's also green and lush and beautiful. It's because they received all the nutrients from the ashes of that fire. And we don't do that anymore. So there's a whole bunch of, when I last knew it, there's something like even with those supplements, most supplements that you take, unless you take a ton of them, you've got about 40% that you're lacking in. As far as supplementation with the nutriments that you just can't find anywhere. So that's, and I'm going to be kind of commercial here and boost what Ben said about going to criticalnewshealth.com.
Critical Health News.
Yeah. And the product on there, they've got what they call the 90, and so the product, I stopped buying a whole bunch of supplements and it saved me a bunch of money as I just got that product because it has all the 90 essential nutrients, vitamins, amino acids, the whole thing. And it's in 2 canisters. You drink it. You mix it in liquid and you drink it down. And it just takes care of the whole thing. And it's, for me, it became a matter of convenience and a matter of economic, thought. I thought, well, I'm spending, so much money on all these things that, mm-hmm. I love my health food store to death, and I still take a few things above and beyond that 90 product, but those 90 products they talk about on there.
Yeah, I actually take a superfood with a bunch of greens in it. It's a scoop, and I mix it in, and I think it's probably similar to what you're talking about. And
right,
it's got everything in it. It's just got everything in it. I absolutely love it.
And it's so amazing within the first few days when you start on a program like that, you actually feel it. It's like it just sneaks up on you all of a sudden. It just kind of kicks you in the behind, says, "Hey, I'm here. I'm doing my job."
Yeah.
And I know there are days that if I get all hyped up and have a couple of cups of coffee and get on the computer and start talking to Angela or whoever, that I find that, if I skip that morning ingestion of that stuff, I feel it. I start to feel kind of lethargic and just kind of, I almost feel like I need to go back to bed. And then I think, well, no, I just need to get, I need to get up my scoop and my ice water and start mixing some stuff here. And voila, within 15 minutes, I'm back up and running and, the racehorse that I try to be.
Right, and I'm assuming it's based on organic plants and that type of thing. Is that what it is? Is it a green scoop of?
Yep.
Yeah, I
No,
take
well,
something
it's not,
similar.
Yeah, it's not. It's not green. It's called Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
Oh, okay.
And
the tangy.
yeah, there are a lot of times I just take a glass of fresh carrot juice, and then I put a scoop of that stuff in there, mix it up, and then it's beyond. Oh boy, it's beyond good. It's
nice.
so good. But
all right,
it's
that's
just,
awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I have to just, with the things that are happening in the air, all the crap they're blowing down with all the geoengineering and weather modification and aluminum that we're getting in our bodies, and the barium and all those things, that toxicity. Man, it's so important to keep your health up and do it naturally. Stay away from anything synthetic.
Very nice. Well, thank you for helping me round out the show today, Ralph. Appropriately, I'm glad you called.
Good talking to you guys. Take
All
care.
right. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. It's Major Tom, Ground Control with Major Tom and Keith AZ up next on Studio A. And I'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. And thanks again to Pharmacist Ben Fuchs for being my guest and Ralph Ely for calling in. You guys are awesome. Peace.